morning. I'm Charlotte Jones, co-host of the John Telford Detroit Show, coming to you every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock on WJZZ Cool TV. Also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Dr. John Telford is a former Detroit Public Schools superintendent, a former world-class athlete, conqueror of Olympic champions, a championship track coach, poet, newspaper columnist, a longtime civil rights crusader, and author of 7 books: Creative Insubordination, What Old Men Know, The Will Robinson Story, The Poetic Prancings of Mad John, The Poet Emperor of Earth, and his explosive autobiography, A Life on the Run. Plus, another upcoming poetry book, Athletes, Activism, and Apple Boughs, a Detroit poetic epic. His books are available on Amazon.com or by calling 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. Dr. Telford has been called a legend and also a lightning rod for controversy, a recipient of the City Council Spirit of Detroit Award and the Joe Louis Foundation Spirit of the Champ Award. He was named Wayne State University's Alumnus of the Year, and a Detroit track is named for him. His email is drjohntelfordedd@aol.com. That's dr.johntelfordedd@aol.com. Dr. Telford also has a show on WCHB AM 1340 that airs on Saturdays at 9:30 in the morning and Mondays at 6:30 in the evening. That's on WCHB AM 1340, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Mondays at 6:30 p.m. And now, without further ado, I present to you that old native Detroiter, the one and only Dr. John Telford.
Thank you, Charlotte Jones.
You are welcome.
A.K.A. Char J., author of A Ain't Always for Apple, an erotic alphabet book, an erotic adult alphabet book that's going to sell when she gets a good manager to market it, because this is one heck of a book, and it's going to teach a lot of young men to read. My name's Detroit. I'm a blue-collar town. Blue salt melts my mid-March snow. Speedy cars and sprinters spring from me. I father fierce fighters and funky music. In a Motown moment, I can spit the blues right back in a bureaucrat's eye. Have you never seen blue salt? No complex chemistry here, only the old color of a new sky. And we've got a new sky dawning on Detroit today because Darius Morris, my old student at Finney High School, back in the day, is on the show today, and he's going to be talking about building trades, and he's going to be talking about real estate, and he's going to be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff. And I've got a poem that is apropos to Darius, and it's called The Values of Verse. Verse comes to us by pen or voice. We thus can always take our choice. Let me be also sure to mention that verse will gain us righteous vengeance via deft poetic arts that can topple oligarchs. Verse will clearly, plainly lay out what we poets dare to say out. Like gentle mewling lambs, no more, but rather with a fearsome roar, as from some cacophonic corps of lions. And we got a young lion in the studio today by the name of Darius Morris, who, when I had him at Finney High School, he was a lion then too. Matter of fact, Darius was a successful Golden Gloves boxer, as was I in the old days, and and one time, because I was in charge of the discipline too in that school, he got sent to me, and this other guy who was Darius was a welterweight. This other guy was a light heavyweight, but they had gotten into a little altercation. And they were sitting in my office, one of them on one side of me and one of them on the other. And now they got sent to me for fighting, and all of a sudden Darius reaches across me and slaps the kid again. And I said, Darius, you are repeating your transgression. But Fortunately for the whole world, Darius has totally grown since then, and he is now a real estate agent. Oh, and you know what? Not an agent. He's a developer. Yeah, he sells and develops and buys real estate. But also, before I forget, I got to say this, because my poem, Mixed Metaphors, Olympian, Arthurian, and Pugilistic from the pen of an old sprinter fighter, is on the stands right now. It's in the Thursday, November 10th, 2022 Monitor, and it's on the stands. And also on the stands is the Detroit Native Sun. The Detroit Native Sun is on the stands. Matter of fact, they're advertising my WCHB radio show again because... And we can hear Roger Penzabini talking over there. These walls are so thin, but we're going to try to do this show anyway. But anyway, the Detroit Native Sun on the stands, and the article and column I got in there this month is one is we must teach our history truthfully, teach the truth to our youth, and the other is my column, the Telford Telescope. And that column today, this month, is the headline, Detroit Public Schools Community District is in academic crisis. And that is why I ran for the school board, and we'll probably be talking more about that as the show progresses. But Darius, welcome to the John Telford Detroit Show on WJZZ Cool TV.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Telford, and you got a great co-host. I'm glad to meet her.
Oh yeah, she's a very good co-host, and a lot of times she invents questions that my guests didn't have. But Darius, give us. But before I ask you some of the questions that you sent me to ask you, tell us a little bit about your background, about who you are, about what you are, and where you've been, in the past 10, 20 years.
Well, I've been in your office for sure.
Yeah, that was in 20
years. How old are you?
I'm 35 years old.
Okay, you look.
He's still fighting too.
When I was in his office, that was approximately around 19 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So I started off there in Dr. Telford's office, but I got into real estate investing at the age of 17. I've been a builder and in the building trade since the age of 18. I'm a real estate investor. I own 2 real estate investment firms. I also operate a building trades program, one of the most successful and effective in the city of Detroit, and we have turned out a lot of great builders and a lot of great investors.
Oh, wow.
And we got one of your young students, River Rouge High School kid named Joshua Smith, here today. And he's gonna come with us to the yacht club and grab a bite to eat right after this show, and we're gonna meet Ms. V. Starkey there. Which reminds me, before I forget, Virginia Starkey, formerly known simply as V, the proprietress of V's Boutique, offers a wide range of fine clothing and accessories for ladies. You can find all sizes of women's fine apparel in V's one-stop excellent customer service at V's Boutique that you can't find anywhere else in Detroit anymore. V's is at 16423 East Warren Avenue. 16423 East Warren Avenue. And it's right around the corner from the Alger Theater, next to one of the near one of the libraries that's still open in the city. You got to get a few more of them open. But and in fact, we just drove by it yesterday because we went to a District 4 meeting. I was trying to find out if where they are with this track. The Detroit Track Old Timers and the Coaches Association of Detroit trying to get a track put in this new field house that they're putting in over at Chandler Park. Because all of us old trackmen have been waiting for a field house in the city, for decades. They got one in Ann Arbor, they got one in Warren, they got one in Lansing, they got one in everywhere in the city, in Michigan, excepting in Detroit. So we got to change that. So Darius.
No, wait. Let me do this first.
Oh, okay.
You're watching WJZZ Cool TV live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Actually, I'm a little early.
right.
And other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
And we have Darius Morris, entrepreneur, bon vivant, all of those good things. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, Darius, before I start into some of these questions about what you're doing.
Well, as you mentioned before, I am a fighter.
He's a boxer. Professional boxer. He's doing that. He's still doing that.
You still
I don't think you should be. You're 35 years old. You can make a heck of a lot more money in real estate. But
I do. But it's something whereas you being of your age, your accomplishments, where you can go and sit down. You have no reason other than just pure passion to still come out here every day, to run this radio broadcast, to still do your publishing, to still run for elections, way past the time that people who are doing this are coming out. You're still actively doing that, and it's simply because it's your passion. And
well, it's my
put a price on
passion.
that.
But since you mentioned that, I'll tell you, I wouldn't been running for the school board. I'm going to be 87, in January.
Yes, sir.
But this program that they've got in the Detroit Public Schools is not working. And I did not get elected because I didn't have the money to spend to get elected. The incumbents got back in by spending $250,000 apiece. And that had been okay if they were going to do what they need to do, finally. But they did not do it. And I don't think they're going to do it for 4 more years. So this is one of the reasons why Willie Burton, who is my manager
Yes.
in my board campaign, and I are going to pull together all of the activist groups now in the city, including the ACLU, BAM, the National Action Network, all of them. We're going to pull them together, and we're going to try to put some pressure on this board to finally fix these kids to read, fix that reading program. I mean, it's that was the only reason I ran for the board. I should be sipping mint juleps in Florida or something.
We all should be.
Yeah, but particularly with this snow we're
It's
getting
not
out here.
apricot.
Yeah, but anyway,
He gave me some apricot juice one day. I mean,
It was
the
good, though.
nastiest juice I ever had in my life.
he didn't like the juice.
I don't care how healthy it was. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I gave him some apricot juice.
That's it.
Yeah, he didn't
Apricots
like the
good.
juice. But what kind of juice do you like?
I like orange juice.
No, that's good. Yeah.
Little Mike's Hard lemonade here and there.
Why are we
Yeah.
talking about juice?
Anyway,
Why are we talking about
well,
juice?
for one
You know, with
thing,
Dr. Temple, we'll go anyway.
Right.
well, for one thing, he only gave me 7 questions. He didn't give me 10 to 15 questions. But okay,
Fill it in.
let's ask him the first question. You
I
want
know
to ask
you
him
will.
or I'll ask him?
Okay, how long have you been investing in real estate? Plus, what's going on in the Detroit housing market?
Well, I
Well, you
did my
gave us 2
first.
questions.
Put 'em
That's
together.
Two of the 7.
I like that.
Okay.
She compounded it for me, make it easy
All
for me.
right. Yeah, but we got to.
It goes
Well,
together.
this is an hour-long show, You only gave me 7
No.
questions, but go ahead.
Because I want you to take most of that hour. I want to talk to you about some things that you're doing as well.
No,
all right.
because-
Talk about
that's
you.
good. Hey, I love to talk about what I'm doing, I just wish I could talk about my track. I like to talk about that, but, that was, 66 years ago.
But yeah, so I got into real estate investing. I did my first active real estate deal at the age of 17 years old.
That's
Tell me
something else.
about
That's
that.
something
Like, what happened? You wanted a house? How did you come to that?
Well, at the age of 16, I was homeless. At
Okay.
that particular point in time, me and my dad, we had a falling out because I wanted to do real estate. I wanted to learn real estate. I wanted to learn the real estate trades. My dad had a door company, and he wanted me to dedicate my time to his door company. And if I wasn't dedicating my time to his door company and following the footsteps that he wanted for me, he looked at us being insubordinate, and I had to come from up under his roof.
Yeah, well, you had a tendency to be insubordinate, and so did I. I mean, we all did,
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a troubled kid. I was a troubled kid. That's one of the reasons why I'm working with troubled kids.
But you and your dad cool now, or?
Yeah, me and my dad's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
I got my dad in the real estate investment.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. His dad came with him. His business.
That's right. So that 16 was pretty rough, but I started doing odd end jobs, saving up money. I knew that my first deal had to be a land contract deal because I wouldn't have all the funds to pay
Right.
for the property at once. So at least if I could find a land contract, I would have enough to make the down payment, and then I can make small monthly payments because it wouldn't be that expensive because I was going for a property that needed a full renovation. So
Oh, okay.
on the cheaper side, which is what I did at the age of 17 to get me into the industry. And I've been doing it ever since. The current Detroit housing market, there's multiple markets inside of one market. It varies from neighborhood to neighborhood. It varies from block to block. It's a very strange thing. And I've been around the country in different other areas, and I haven't seen anything like Detroit. And how the comps can flip from block to block like that is pretty funny. And I think it has a lot to do with what's going on in politics, for sure.
Everything does.
Yeah.
So that first deal you did when you were 17, in this current housing market, is that a deal that could still happen today?
It is a deal that could still happen today. Land contracts are still happening. However, the pricing and inflation and the way the market has changed for those numbers, the way that I did it, is probably very unlikely.
Okay. Because it seems like land contracts, that might be how a lot of people have to go, and they seem like those deals are few and far between, plus those down payments have gotten higher.
That is correct.
So,
Now, you said that you traveled out of the state. Did you do that in your business to see what was happening elsewhere, or what?
Correct, yes. I did it in Atlanta, where I currently have 2 condos that
Wow.
I operate as Airbnbs.
yeah, okay.
Oh, wow.
And I have recently been exploring the area of Miami, where I plan to use the same blueprint that I'm using in Atlanta.
Oh, right, man. And this kid's 35 years old.
I know.
And he's already accomplished that. And God knows, what he's going to accomplish will be a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, I
too.
mean, I commend him because a lot of 17-year-olds, 35-year-olds, they aren't thinking about real estate or their future or anything like that, because at 17, I mean, if it was me and I was homeless, I probably would have just stayed with a friend. But you went out and, bought you a house, and you lived in that house. You still own that house?
No, I flipped the house.
Okay.
That was my first flip. And that catapulted me right there. It gave me the capital where now I don't have to go do land contracts. I was able to go in and finance my next deal cash, and I just stayed consistent with it over time.
It's kind of interesting because it reminds me of what happened with my father. My father and I got in a fight when I was a senior at Denby, and I was out of the house until I could get down to Wayne State on my track scholarship. They were going to house me down there. But my teammates, my high school teammates were passing me around from house to house. I was staying with them until I could,
He said,
could get
passing
down
me
there.
around.
Yeah, that's
Who
what
wants
they were
John?
doing.
Yeah, you take that.
Yeah, you take him, yeah. But that was what happened to me. Of course, my dad and I, reconciled fairly quickly, but we had some disagreements. Anyway, he was an old pug, he was a boxer, and he drank. But anyway, well, he did. He was Scot. He was born in Scotland. His whole family were alcoholics. They got that gene, and they just they were working alcoholics. I mean, he was they were, he was a bodyguard for Walter Reuther. And he got fired from that job for drinking. But anyway, we're not talking about.
So he wasn't a working alcoholic.
Yeah, but he got another job real fast. I think he got a job as a bouncer after that. But what's currently happening in the Detroit real estate market?
We talked about that one.
Yeah, but he didn't get into it in depth. I mean,
Okay.
what's happening there? Why should someone do real estate in Detroit rather than perhaps somewhere else?
Detroit is very unique in the sense that it is the place that has the bare minimum requirements in order to enter into the real estate industry. And the bare minimum requirements are according to the financial aspect of it. We have the Detroit Land Bank. I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of how they operate. But it is a program where people are able to go in and to buy properties for as low as $1,000.
You hear that, folks? $1,000. You can buy a house in Detroit for $1,000.
So remember they used to have, I don't know if you remember, the nuisance and abatement program. Is that what the land bank is now?
No, the nuisance and abatement program meant that you had to pretty much what is known as being illegal occupancy. you had to basically squat inside the house for a certain amount of time, and if the time had lapsed and you had the bills and utilities activated in that address and you had mail coming in and no one ever popped up to claim that property in a certain amount of time, then you're able to start to take civil actions to acquire the title. Okay. Whereas the land bank, by the time you approach the land bank to purchase the property, the land bank has already took action on the title and has ownership of the property. So you're actually able to get the deed right then and there.
So it's a show on TV. These two guys, they buy houses from the land bank and then they fix them up. I can't think of what the show was called, but they're here in Detroit, and they're like, well, we got this house for $1,000, and then some of these houses don't have holes in the roof and the floors be missing. And then I'm sure, they claim that they only spend a certain amount of dollars on these properties. Is what they're doing fluctuating the Detroit market?
Absolutely not. It may motivate and inspire people to get into the game, but a lot of those shows like that, and I'm familiar with the show that you're talking about, are fake. They're able to come in, grab properties, and pretty much it be the producers of the shows, the investors of the shows that are actually acquiring the properties. Most of them are just personalities. They may have a little experience coming in, but they're personalities. And when you acquire property for a certain amount and you have to spend a certain amount in renovation, you're actually spending more in the property than what you're able to sell it for. But they're able to offset those costs due to the fact that the television program is spending the money. They're going to make more money off of the actual television program than they are off the actual real estate deal itself. Okay. So a lot of that stuff is staged and is false, and they create false obstacles and false circumstances to make the show entertaining.
Okay.
Okay, let's hit you with another one. How long have you been doing this building trades thing, training these kids in building trades, and talk a little bit about that?
I've been training my first student, who's a builder now and a real estate investor, very successful. I started training him 9 years ago.
Wow.
So I started off with the one student, and I seen how he was developing and the impact that it was making. And I said, you know what, I need to start a program doing this. Because it was never intended to be for a program for multiple people. It was intended to be for one particular person and who was helping me along my journey. And I said, you know what, okay, I'm going to teach you the game. I'm going to show you how to. I just don't want you just in here helping me being more manpower for me to further my agenda, but I'm going to show you something. So I started showing him strategically, step by step by step, what to do. I liked how it made me feel to see him succeed and grow. And I said, man, we got to keep this going. So I started the program. That was 9 years ago. I started the program, and I've been running it ever since.
Where'd you pick up your skill levels from?
I picked up my skill levels over the years. They didn't all come overnight, but there came an instance where you hired an electrician to do a job, or you had someone say, okay, I'm going to be your electrician, I'm going to wire your houses up. And then someone offers them more money, or they take a different course in life. And when you depend on people and they leave you hanging, I said, man, I can't allow this to happen anymore. I have to learn this. So I developed a relationship with a home inspector. And I would pay him. I would go in and start wiring outlets, putting in switches, installing circuit panel boxes, and I would pay him just to come back behind me to inspect my work, tell me if it was cold, correct me where I was wrong, tell me what I need to change. And eventually I learned what I need to learn in electrical. So then I moved on to plumbing, then heating and cooling, then windows, then doors. And I just started getting good at it. And then I started, building relationships with other builders, and I would offer them advice on certain things that I was good at. They were offering me advice, and we were sharpening each other. And now I'm a builder, and there's nothing I can't do to a house.
Yeah, and a lot.
You want to come over to my house? Because I need some stuff done. No, it's just that bad. So you say you teaching and you started a program.
Yes.
how's your program work? Where do you get your students from?
I do return to citizens, but we have a lot of high school students.
Now, you're talking about returning citizens. You're talking about folks
People
coming out of
who are on
incarceration.
parole. They are on
That's
parole.
very important, and
Yes.
I'm talk a little bit about that because I'm very supportive of that program.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if you want to talk about your background in that regard, but I'll talk about mine. I was incarcerated, for a while myself as a
See, John,
teenager.
I didn't know that.
It was a youth home. I wasn't in prison.
Oh, okay.
But I was on my way there. Let me tell you, if I didn't turn around,
yeah.
what actually happened was a guy set a kitten on fire, and I lost my.
Oh, no.
He was a big kid, and I picked up a little piece of brick and bashed him. And the police came to the house and led
He
me out
deserved
of my
it. He
house.
set a kitten on fire.
Yeah, but they took me down to the station and asked me did I try to kill that kid, and I told the truth, which I shouldn't have done. Didn't have a lawyer, Miranda rights and all that. But anyway, I was interrupting you, Darius. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking what?
No, the ball became on you. You're the host.
I'm the host. Okay, well, let me go. Oh, but you know what? You've been doing
But
this for so long.
The parole, the return to citizens, what we was.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I want you to talk
I have
about
developed
it.
a relationship with parole agents out of the Lawton office in Detroit.
What motivated you to work with returning citizens?
Well, I wanted to do that because in my community, even in my family, there's not too many people that you run into who aren't a returning citizen. And we all make those mistakes. Even me, when I was younger,
Yeah, I know.
I got into some trouble, and I ended up going down a path that I shouldn't have went down. You get involved with the greed and money and illegal activity. And I thank God for programs that are out there, and there are people in the criminal justice systems that will help you to get your record expunged.
Yes.
To get that felony off your record.
Yes.
So you're no longer a felon and you can move forward. So between that and offering them opportunities to learn trades, real estate investing, on the economic side, we have a lot of praying hands, but if we had just as many helping hands as praying hands, we could see a lot more things turn around. So I did develop relationships with the pro agents, showed them what I was doing, showed them and displayed to them my track record and producing results for successful people in my program. And they start passing the word around and when they had parolees come in and say, man, I'm having a hard time finding a job. Here, call this number, speak to this guy. And I'm able to speak with them, I'm able to relate to them, we're able to link up, and they get addicted. Yeah, and matter of fact, my first student that I told you about 9 years ago, who I was mentoring, who was helping me, was the first one was a convicted felon.
Wow.
Is there an age limit on who you help? Or?
I'll bring a toddler if you ready to work. No. But we generally try to stick around no less than 15 years old.
Yeah.
That's right there where they at that fork in the road.
That's right.
That's
right.
And you got to catch them early.
Yeah, I was 15 when I got into that trouble.
See, should have been my program.
Going on 15. I should have been in the program.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was in the year 1951. So
Oh yeah.
you weren't.
My dad wasn't even around.
Yes, exactly right.
You're watching the Dr. John Telford Detroit Show, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like us, follow us, share us, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
And Darius, you talked a little bit about your faith, and just now, you mentioned, thank God,
Yes.
and I can remember back when I was married to my second wife, Gina. We went to hear you preach one time,
Yes, sir.
and that was he preaches.
Wow.
And that was I can't remember exactly when, and I can't remember exactly where, but you were
around 2013.
around that time, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you were a mesmerizing preacher. Did you ever think of going into that field?
My grandfather was a bishop in the Church of God in Christ. And I had the things that I was preaching on were things that I had to rely on in order to achieve the things that I achieved. And so I was speaking from personal experience. And I think with the personal experience and the passion, when they combine together, it produces a pretty great sermon.
I think it was a little earlier in 2013. I can't remember the exact day or date, but where was that church? Where was that? Yeah, you remember?
Yeah, that was at Mount Zion on 6 Mile, in the area of 6 Mile and Gratiot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
And I remember, it was you and Gina.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I was just transfixed. I was saying to myself, this kid should be preaching, or actually, you should be teaching too. You know, but you are doing that. You know, in your best way. And what trades are you teaching? What are the trades that you are teaching?
Because our program is real estate based on doing full renovations, we cover every area from electrical, plumbing, heating and cooling, carpentry, everything but landscaping, roofing, carpeting, flooring, tiling, everything except for landscaping.
Now, say again how you learned to do this. How did you learn to do all these things?
Oh, I'm still learning.
You're still learning. Yeah, but
we always can become better,
well,
right?
absolutely.
Always.
You absolutely. You can always take another tenth of a second off the quarter-mile record, you know. But you learn things that you're almost self-taught, and
Yes.
you took the initiative to do these things. See, what you learned via this process should be getting taught in the Detroit Public Schools Community District,
I
and they
agree.
used to be getting
agree.
taught there. So, you know, I had 35 goals, 35, when I was superintendent. And I shared those goals with the incoming superintendent because I was not able to do most of those goals when I was superintendent because we had an emergency financial mismanager who had been appointed by Governor Snyder, who thwarted me on just about every turn, particularly the reading program that I was trying to bring in. And he later said he was wrong. You know, great, the kids still can't read. But you know, I'm very proud of you, Darius, what you have accomplished. Because I can remember when I was working with you at Finney High School, you know, trying my very best to steer you in the right direction. I failed with you at that time. But it looks like I did not fail, obviously, because of all you're accomplishing now. So, you know, it's never too late to succeed. And here you are succeeding now at a pace that I almost can't believe. Yeah. I mean, you're making more money than the teachers are. You're making more money than the policemen in Detroit are. You're making more money than I am, that I've ever made. And I am just so proud, and that's why I wanted to have you on this show so that everyone else could see what you have done and are accomplishing now. So, you know, with that little diatribe, let me get to another one of your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Telfer.
What impact is your trades program having on teens?
It's having a great impact. First of all, it's keeping them working towards something. It's keeping hope restored. It's tying up their time so they don't have time to be able to get off into foolish stuff. Just like in the other room, one of the young men in my program that you said you have on at another date.
That's Joshua Smith, yeah.
Yeah, he's 17 years old, and now he went from being my student to being my business partner because he and his twin brother have partnered up with me on a real estate deal. So they are accomplishing at 17 what I accomplished at 17.
And he's still in high school. This kid is still in high school, at River Rouge High School, over where Derek Coleman's the superintendent.
Yes.
A good superintendent, by the way. I tried to get him in Detroit, you know. I think we wouldn't have had some of the problems we've had if we had brought Derek back to Detroit. But you know, it is what it is now, and we've got to get this program fixed, and I'm going to get this coalition together to do whatever they have to do to fix it. I'm going to call it the Coalition on Reading. So you're having a tremendous impact on teenagers who would probably be doing some things they shouldn't be doing if they weren't affiliated with you.
Is this I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Is this a formal program? Are you getting like state-funded money or anything, or?
No, this is funded by me.
By you?
Yeah, he funds all this himself.
I fund it by myself. I want to be unbought, and unbossed.
He's quoting me. Yeah, that was my.
Okay.
That was my. Yeah, I had that in here. I was unbought and unbossed.
When I've
Yeah.
seen that, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
well, you know, Willie and I put.
Right. I got to get that. I have to get the T-shirts.
Let's copyright that.
Unbought and unbossed.
Okay, that's good. I'll put it on. You know,
Okay,
if you get them. Yeah, Willie put a picture of me, you know, with my United States team uniform. Picture of me when I won the Canadian Championship. You know, you got holding the big trophy. Picture of the relay team. It was the best relay team in the country. Coming out of Wayne State, by the way, Little Wayne State. I always got to get that word in.
I understand what you're saying. You want to be unbought and unbossed, but at the same time, you're doing work that the state pays other organization money. So what you're saying is that when they give you money, they also try to govern how you teach. Is that it?
Correct. It
Okay.
becomes a political
That's right.
situation, and we try to stay away from
That's
political
right.
things. I mean, when you start to involve politics, you end up with like the controversy happening with Detroit Public Schools. You see, he has to play the political game in order to get in there, to get control, to implement a reading program that he knows will work. So I don't never want to be any program that I'm involved in where I have to try to play this game and play that game to implement something based on my experience that I know will work and be effective for that program. So I do not want to be controlled by the state. So
Yeah, I would not accept endorsements from any organization, and I didn't take any money, any contribution money to run. I used my book sales and my own savings, you know, to run, and I spent, for me, a considerable amount of money, but I didn't match what the incumbents spent. So they're back in again, and they have to be induced to fix that program, because we can't have them spend 4 more years of sitting up there like lumps and not doing anything, knowing full well that the program that they've been using has not worked.
So I have a question for you, Dr. Taylor. You said knowing full well. So to you to imply that they are knowingly pushing or allowing a program that is ineffective, what do you think is behind that?
Well, you know, that's a very complex question, and I'm not sure of the answer to it. I hope the answer is not that that we're doing it on purpose.
Something's going on. I asked you that question
I don't know if
myself.
they're kickbacks for contracts. I don't know, and I don't want to accuse anybody. And when I was running for the school board, I had no intention of firing anybody or demoting anybody. I just wanted to get that reading program fixed, because if these kids can't read, and they come out of the 3rd grade not able to read, their lives are already predetermined, and it's not going to be a good thing that's going to happen to them. They're going to be digging ditches, or they're going to be on the dole, or they're going to be in the incarcerative system, the pay for profit criminal justice system, or they'll be in the cemetery. And this is not what we want for our Detroit Public Schools community school children, and it's not what we want for our city. If we don't educate these kids appropriately, the whole city's not going to come back. And this is why, at the age of almost 87, I'm still fighting this battle, because this is my hometown. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. I went to school here, and I got a superb education in the Detroit Public Schools. When I came out of the Detroit Public Schools, I had an education that was equivalent to that of a college sophomore. That's how good that school district was when I came out in January of 1954. And also the athletic program. You know, they got me down to Wayne State on a track scholarship, tuition, books, room, and board, all my whole life, you know, the track and field program and the athletic program in these schools.
Well, you don't want to accuse anybody, but I will, because that's not something's going on. And I ask you this all the time, every time we had our guests, what's the problem? What's the issue? Why are they trying to use the same things that aren't working, and they're still trying to put them in there? And that's something that I just don't understand. So, I don't know.
Well, maybe finally now, and there's a new member on. I'm trying to think of her name. Latrice McClendon. She spent about $250,000. You know, I don't know of whose money, but she got on, and she's the lone person who got on who is not an incumbent or a former incumbent. So hopefully she will motivate the others to fix the reading program.
That's just one person, but
We've got Sherry Di Danielgo on, And if you'll recall, we also had Angelique Peterson Mayberry on this show when we were at the other place, and she was making some hopeful. I was kind of pleased with some of the things she said. She was talking about, I'm going to fix this reading program. I'm not happy about it. She's the president of the board, and it kind of reflects on her, that the kids aren't being taught to read. So anyway, let's get back to Darius some more. Darius's questions. Tell us about some of the successful stories regarding people in your program. That's your question number 6. Your second from last question.
Okay. We have a great success rate. We have multiple people that have come through my program that have become real estate investors, have become builders. They own and operate their own entities now. They still partner up with me on deals. And I have even a group of young men who are helping to oversee our operations on our Airbnb in Atlanta. And once I land some deals in Florida, which I'm currently in the process of working on, we will be extending our program to the area of Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and recruiting teams down there to be participants in the program and to help to work and oversee the operations of our ventures down there.
How can you be contacted?
I will leave you my card so that you can.
No, I'm
share
asking.
information.
I'm asking you for them. How can you be
Got
contacted?
an email or something?
You can contact me at 313-996-9955. And it is more convenient for me because I do get a lot of calls. If you send me a text message, and we will reply back to you for sure.
What about email?
You the only person really use email like that. I don't
Okay.
Oh, these millennials, these Gen X,
right, yeah.
all
they
that
don't
spam,
use,
just
they
text
don't
me.
use all of
Text
that.
me. Text me. Hey, I heard about your program. How can I get started?
Is it a formal program, or like today I call you and I say, hey, I want to get in your program. Can you take me today, or do I have to wait till your next class
You can
that
leave
starts
right
in
here
Jan-
from this broadcast if you're ready.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out. Something. Well, my next class doesn't start until January.
We can't do it like that. We have
Okay.
a revolving door.
Okay.
Because although we have good success stories and success rates, we do have failures. We have people who aren't able to overcome obstacles outside of the program, and I try to work with them to address those issues.
Yeah.
But I can't want it for you. You have to want it for yourself.
Which I was going to speak to that because you can't help everybody. Some people just are just too far gone, or they just don't want it. So when you come, and I'm sure you've come across some of those, when you come across that, how long do you keep going with them? Is it 3 shots you out, or you can tell right away?
Nope, I have to. So I don't come in with, okay, I'm going to give you 3 shots, you 5 shots.
Oh, wow.
I have to rely on my spiritual guidance on that, what I feel in my spirit. And I monitor you. I give you certain tasks to see if you are advancing in those tasks, see if you're growing. I put you in situations to challenge your passion for it. And after a while, when I feel in my spirit that I've done all I can do, and I need to release you, I have to release you from the program.
Tell us a little bit about some recent real estate projects in Detroit that you have been working on.
Let him tell you after this. You're
Okay.
watching WJZZ Cool TV, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Now tell us that.
Yeah, tell us now.
You got announcements to make, or you don't? Do you have announcements to make?
No, I want him to tell us
Okay.
what he's doing in Detroit.
One particular project that I did, I found a street on the east side of Detroit in 4205, which is deemed as one of the worst zip codes in the nation. And that is where we predominantly are turning around the community. And predominantly,
What neighborhood is it?
4205, it is the east side of Detroit. It is between 7 Mile and Hoover, going
Okay,
all the way
okay.
back towards Kelly.
It's over by between Denby and Osborne.
The Regent
Correct.
Park
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
Regent Park is like the tail end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a block that I seen it had potential. It was on a street called Bradford. And this block is between the crossroads, our East 7 Mile Road and Lappin. And so I see this block. I see it has potential. I get a chance to talk to the people, talk to the neighbors. And I said, hey, I want to make this block a project. I contacted the land bank. Every property that was vacant on that street that was a nuisance were all owned by the land bank. I worked out a package deal from the Detroit Land Bank, and I acquired all those vacant properties that were on that block. I started a new class of students. I trained them on the first property. Then the second property was their test to see what they had learned from the previous property. And then by the time I made it to like the third property, I had a new class that was coming in. So my current class that had passed the test, I had them training the new students.
Okay.
So now you got people that are 16, 17, 18 years old that are training 16, 17, 18 years old. I'm just overseeing it. But by the time we were done, which was like a year
Yeah, students
process.
teaching students. That was
Teach
always
one,
one of my
teach
tricks in
Yes.
Detroit too. Yeah.
But it was a year process. By the time the year was over with, all of the vacant homes had been restored. And as we were restoring them, I seen other people coming out, seeing what we were doing. They started making upgrades to their homes. We turned the block around. And I remember one day we were outside one of the properties. We had just finished, me and some contractors, we were all talking. And a lady, one of the neighbors, she comes across the street to where we was. And she said, hey, she said, I want to let you guys know that before you came and acquired these properties and fixed them up, she said, I had given up on the block and I was getting ready
To leave.
to leave.
Yeah.
I had a listing agent and everything. She said, because of what y'all did, I'm staying.
Wow, that is a story.
Yeah.
What did you pay for all these properties when you first bought them?
None of your business.
I was just going to say.
I'm asking that for a reason, because I know you made a heck of a lot of money off of those properties when you finally sold them, and that's something else. That's something else that folks that are listening to the show have to know. You know, hey parents, hey students, you know, this is a program. You got to talk to this guy. I had him coming over to Frederick Douglass High School, where I'm the poet in residence, and after I did my little poetry readings, which I am paid to do, I brought Darius over there. He talked to these kids, and he had them eating out of his hand, and they were asking more questions in 10 minutes from him than they've been asking me for hours. Yeah.
So you just rehab. Do you build from the ground? Can you build from the ground up?
I can build from the ground up, and I have assisted other builders in the area of Birmingham, Michigan, in the areas of Birmingham, Michigan, and certain areas in Oakland County where they do a lot of new home construction. I have assisted other builders in certain aspects in rebuilding homes from the ground up.
Okay.
Well, you know, Darius, on November the 29th, I am going to Northwestern High School. That's my next. I'm the poet in residence. I go around to the high schools and recite my poetry. That's what they pay me to do. But I'm going to bring you with me to Northwestern High School, and I'll do my thing. You know, I'm supposed to do.
Yes,
But
sir.
then I'm going to, and I'll talk to the principal. That's Kim Rogers, excellent principal over at Northwestern, about also having you say a couple of words about what you're doing, and say those words to these kids. And also in the spring, I want to bring you back to your alma mater, which I'm trying to get changed back to the name Finney, which I think we're going to make happen because the Finney family were abolitionists that rode runaway slaves across the river to freedom in the middle of the night. So East English Village, it's called East English Village. That's ridiculous. We don't need to have it called East English Village. We need to have it called Finney again. That's a new school over there. Excellent principal, Marty Bulger. I'm going to talk to him and ask him if one of the former alumni of the old Finney High School can say a couple of words to the kids. And I'll do a little poetry again, and then you'll say a couple of words to the kids. What do you think about that idea?
Well, that's what we do. We have a program, and definitely Dr. Telford.
Okay, well, we're going to do that. We're definitely going to do that.
Nope, we're wrapping it up.
Yeah, I got one last question, though.
Nope, we're wrapping it
Oh,
up.
we got to wrap it up. Okay. All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Give me, tell us what you want us to know, what you want people to know about your program, how they can get in touch with you, anything you want to say to wrap it up.
Yep.
Well, the Bible says, "To much is given, much is required." With abundance of skills, abundance of gifts, and abundance of talent, it is expected out of you an abundance of work, an abundance of production. And I just want people to just stay focused, get involved in programs such as this program, give it your all, make the sacrifices, put the work in, and you shall reap the harvest. I am a shining example of that.
You definitely are. And thank you for coming on the John Telfer Detroit Show today, Darius. This has been a very good show.
Thank you. You were great hosts.
And a beneficial one for listeners, I believe.
What you got, John? You got something?
No, that's it.
Where's your poem? You got... Where's your 2 minutes of poetry?
Oh, all right, all
Out loud
right.
for?
Okay.
I
well,
give you time for that.
Let me do this one then. This one used to be called Uncivil Warfare. I read it on WCHB all the time, and they've been getting mad at me in Macomb County and Oakland County coming down to get me, but
Which is why you should stop telling people where we go and what we do. But go ahead.
I don't even do that show in the studio anymore. I do it from my home, and we got security there, and also they'll be facing a loaded .327 Magnum if they come in my house. But here's the title, Uncivil Warfare, and the subtitle is The Turd That Hasn't Flushed. And I wrote this on January the 6th, 2021. You know what that day was. On this evil and fatal occasion of the Capitol building invasion, the traitor Trump's collusion demands his execution. God yet hasn't pushed the lever on the traitor Trump forever. And this sucker is running for president again. I hope he's in prison before he ever does it.
I don't think he's going to prison,
No, I do.
but
I
I
think
really
he's
don't
gonna-
want
no,
him
we're
for
gonna- no, we're-
president.
we're gonna
And
see.
his rally was full the other day.
He was
Yesterday,
telling lies up the gazoo.
it was full of people, and I just can't believe that.
Well, a bunch of dummies,
Well, I'm
he's
not
got
going
the...
to say that, but
No, they are.
All
they're
right.
lied to.
we are out of here. Okay.
Okie dokie.
You've been listening to the John Telfer Detroit Show with Dr. John Telford and co-host Charlotte Jones on WJZZ Detroit Internet Television, coming to you live every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Contact Dr. Telford at 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. Or at Dr. John Telford, EDD, at AOL.com. That's DrJohnTelford,